everybody, welcome to a little information video. I'm going to show you how to replace the ignitors, bulbs and ballasts on an X-Type Xenon, factory Xenon headlight. Quite simple with the headlight off the car. It's a little bit less so with the headlight on the car, so you know that is a challenge in itself, but hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for you seeing how it all goes together. I will show you the tools that you need, and obviously the most important ones is going to be your gloves, so make sure that you're wearing gloves for this sort of thing. But essentially it's a very simple system with the igniter itself on the back of the bulb here and the ballast pack underneath the high beam setting area. It's a simple system. You've got a live and an earth come in, run to the ballast, and you then got 3 control wires, a pos, neg and a secondary signal that run out to the igniter unit. Now the igniter unit, these are more expensive than the ballast is. Usually if the bulb fails to trigger but will sort of flash, it'll be the igniter unit that may have gone. If it fails to start altogether, it will be the ballast. If it has been going pink, then it will be the bulb. They can also, any part of this can fail suddenly, and they can have different symptoms, so you know it can be a little bit of a hit and miss. It's good to have spares of each just so that you can troubleshoot these environments, but do bear in mind that you can swap these between left and right. They're not sided, to see whether the fault passes, chases, or stays in the same place, so you can quite easily write off certain components just simply by swapping them across between headlights. So with the unit off the car, you can see that this is simply a pull push connector. Very simple. That simply comes out like that. Now, using 2 hands, you need to be able to hold the retaining ring, rotate this igniter, and it simply pulls off. That leaves us with the retaining ring. These are quite expensive, these retaining rings, so just be a little bit careful. And it's not even a quarter turn rotation, and out it comes. Now you see that these 2 tangs on the bulb align with 2 apertures on the ring itself, so it's a bit difficult to see. There we go. You need to make sure that those align. The bulb has a specific up and down, which you can see via the cutout there. There's a little cutaway at the top, that's where that sits, and there is a locating tang that simply pulls out, and there is your D2S bulb. So that is your D2 setting, nice and simple. Put that to one side. Don't need to do anything more with that. That is the dipped beam removed entirely. To tackle the ballast is fairly straightforward. Again, you're going to need a Torx bit. That is this one here, which is a T20. These fit here, nice and simple. It is just a case of undoing the 3 screws and withdrawing the ballast. Now, if these screws are corroded or rusted in any way, be really careful. These are in really good condition because it's the same with any of the headlights that I refurbish. I make sure that they're replaced, or at least they are lubricated and cleared of any corrosion. And that is a second user ballast that just comes out, just pulls out. So make sure that this seal isn't pinched at all. You can always put a little bit of red rubber grease or lithium grease or something similar, just to make sure that it clamps down. This is only a waterproof housing if this seal is present. Being that it's in the lower area of the light, I always recommend that you make sure that it is properly sealed there, just to prevent water ingress. Now, when it comes to refitting the ballast, make sure that you do the screws up first, and once the screws are up first, then you can plug it in. Otherwise you're basically just pushing it around. Don't over torque these, because otherwise you will snap them. Hella saw it in their infinite wisdom to just use steel screws. That's not really ideal. They corrode and rust quite readily, especially if you've bought breaker yard units. I haven't yet come across a set that don't have some form of corrosion in them, so just be careful when you're torquing them down. Once you've screwed that down, you can see that it's rested nicely. It's literally a case of just plugging in the connector like so. That is now fitted. The more challenging thing to do is align the bulb. Now, it's easier off the car because you can actually see what you're doing. When you're in the car and either sort of negotiating the battery box or negotiating the ABS pump, depending on which side you're playing with, you will have a lot less visibility. So it's important that you know what you're doing. The little notch, the cutout there, goes in the top. That locates. You've got the little two cutouts there. Those go around the bulb, like so. It presses down and then does a quarter turn clockwise. Not even a quarter turn, actually. There you go, that is now locked in place. Always be careful with these because they are expensive if you break them. This goes on at a slight angle. Again, there's only one way that it can go on. Mind you, it can also be rotated 180 degrees, but the wiring allows for it to be this way up. Once that's pushed home, it is literally an eighth of a turn, and you can hear it click. Like that, all right? This cabling simply pushes in, and that's the job done. It's very, very simple. Please refit these caps. If you don't, you get all manner of dirt ingress. And it's worth saying that, you know, before you change these bulbs, you might think about changing the indicator as well, because it's a nightmare to get to at the best of times. If you've got the bulb and the igniter off the back, it just makes your life a lot easier. If you are changing just the indicator bulb, I really would recommend that you remove the igniter as well, because it gives you that little bit of extra space in there, and it prevents you from adding too much pressure to the adjusters at the top, which, you know, you can effectively just snap them. Worst case scenario, if you've already replaced your adjusters, you're putting a lot of strain on the light frame itself, and you could end up snapping that. I've seen a couple of those done in the past. Right. Another thing to bear in mind is that when you are changing or unplugging the ballast, this in here is your what's called a tourist lever. On the right hand side, it needs to be up, and on the left hand side it needs to be down. So that makes a small change in the projector itself, which allows for right hand drive and dot pattern in this case. Dot is basically a flat beam pattern. It's not actually okay to drive in Europe permanently on that beam pattern, but you retain the right hand drive setting as well. So hopefully that covers everything else. Make sure you fit the caps. They need to be done properly. There needs to be the seal in there. They need to clip in place. If not, you're going to get dirt ingress. It's just going to muck up your headlights, and yeah, that's no fun at all. Make sure that the screw cap goes on as well, and that's it. You are good to go. Everything has been reinstalled. Obviously, yeah, if you want to see any more guides, please give me a shout in the comments. Yeah, watch this space for other sort of guides with the signatures Xenon, how to replace bulbs there, because that is actually a lot easier and you get a bit more space, but also on halogens and stuff like that. So keep watching and subscribe. Many thanks.